Hi, this is John from Cobrowse.io, and today I'm going to demonstrate how to generate a JSON Web Token, or JWT, for use with Cobrowse.io. The JWTs can be used when using our agent JavaScript API, or when embedding a Cobrowse dashboard or other page as an iframe into your own website or application. The JWTs are used to automatically authenticate a user with a specified set of permissions, and there's no need to create the specified users ahead of time. This is all done automatically through use of JWTs. There's some good documentation here on our website, so today I'm just going to follow the steps so you can see a visual guide for how this is done. So over here, I've got a sample Cobrowse account, and I'm going to open up a new tab in incognito mode and try to load up the Cobrowse dashboard. I'm not logged in, so it doesn't load. Now, using a JWT, looking at some docs for iframe embeds, we can pass a token to that page so that it will automatically authenticate the specified user. So I'll add in a query parameter token equals XYZ, and let's see if it works. Of course it doesn't work, it's an invalid token. So the process we're going to go through now is to generate a working JWT. Alright, so let's take a look at the documentation. Now we need to create a JWT, and the JWT should have these claims listed. The policy claim is optional. The other ones are all required. And we've got some guidance for how to create the private key and public key pair. Then put the public key into our account settings. Then let's create a JSON object and sign it using the private key, using a library, depending on which language I'm using, at JWT.io. And then let's add it as a query parameter to an iframe source URL, or pass to the agent JavaScript API to see it working. In this case, I'm just going to append it here as a query parameter and try to get that working. All right, great. So a good place to start is always to go to JWT.io. It's a very helpful website where you can debug JWTs, and you can also see some libraries used to sign and verify JWTs. Let's go back to the docs, and let's follow the guide. So let's go and generate an RS-256 private key by following the guide here. Let's load that up, and let's see here. Generate a 2048-bit RSA key. You can generate a public-private RSA key pair like this. Okay, let's grab that command, and let's go over to our terminal, and let's try make a temp directory. Let's try to run that command. Passphrase for the private key, let's leave that blank, and blank, and blank. Uh-oh, it looks like we need to have a passphrase for the private key. So let me give one. I'm going to use a passphrase for that, and I need to enter it twice. And now we've got a private.pem that was generated. That generates the private key pair, encrypts them with the password you provide, and writes them to the file. Now we need to extract the public key. Alright, let's take a look at that. Export the RSA public key to a file. Let's try that. Copy paste. And I need to put the password that I had just set. And let's list the directory and see that, okay, we've got a public key here. We've got our private key, and we've got our public key. Great. Let's just read a little bit more and see what we're looking at. Let's open the public.pem and ensure that it starts with begin public key. That's how you know that this file is the public key. So let's go more, public.pem, and that looks pretty good. So let's take that public key and let's drop that into our account settings here at Cobrowse.io. We'll go to integrations and we'll drop it in right here. Enter an RSA public key so we can verify JWTs have been signed by you. don't ever give us or anyone else the corresponding private key. This is called asymmetric cryptography. You're the only one that retains the private key. You keep it secure, and you provide us just the public key, and you can provide that safely to anybody else. It's a way where we can verify that something that's been signed has been signed by your private key. Let's go ahead and save that. And there we are. All right, so we've already done step 1. And we've already done step 2. Now we need to sign our claims using the private key. Let's find a JWT library that will work for us. All right, so going over here, I can pick which language I want to generate this in. So I guess for now, let's try using Node. So over here, I'll just do a npm init, and we'll just have some basics. Yes, okay. We've got a package.json. Let me do a npm install save JSON Web Token. Just using that here. I'm installing it. And now it's going to be in my package.json right here as a dependency. All right. And I'm going to create an index.js file. All right. And that's where I'm going to do my work. Let's look at the repo and see what we've got. We've installed it. Now we need to use it. So let's take a look. JWT.sign. All right. Let's try to see a bit of a working example here. And let me open this up in Visual Studio Code. Let's see if that works. All right, and let's go and let's require that. The token is going to be here. We're going to assign an object. So let's say const object equals. That's where we'll put our claims. Then we'll sign that object with the private key. Let's use a little bit more of this sample code here. All right. Private key is going to be called private.pem. We might run into a small issue here because I might want to create a version of that private key that's not protected by a password, but let's get there in a sec. Let's go to object, do that. We've got a private key right here. We've got the algorithm. We're going to assign the object. We're going to get the token, and then we're going to console.log token is generated. Okay, and console.log token. Let's do that. All right, so what should this object be that we're going to assign? Let's go back over here and let's start using some of these claims. IAT needs to be the issued at time. All right, for now, let me just do a date.now. I'll just hop into my JavaScript console and get a timestamp. Clean that up a bit, go to console, date.now. All right, that's gonna be my time. I've just generated this. Great, expiration. Ooh, I want this to be, let's say, a few days from now. So timestamp 30 days from now. Let's just do that using a tool. 30 days from now timestamp, 30 days prior, today's date minus 30 days. We could probably adjust this. So we're going to do this. Date.today, add. All right, let's have a look at that. Where are we? Date.now, add 30 days. Ooh. Let's try. We probably need to adjust something. Date. Okay, let's just create a new date. Var date equals new date. And then maybe it's going to be 02. 09/2022, expire a year from now. All right, that looks good. Date dot to try to get a timestamp out of that. Date dot to string. All right, let's get the timestamp. JavaScript date get timestamp. That's date dot now. Get time. Okay. Let's go for that. Get time. All right. That's going to be when it expires, 1 year from today. All right. Now we're going to do an audience. Audience must always be Cobrowse.io. That part's easy. Issuer. That's going to be the license key. So let's go back to our account, go to General, and let me grab that license key. All right, now we've got the subject. That's going to be myself. So I'll do John at example.com. And display name will be John. All right, and the policy, we're going to leave that blank. So now we've got this object, then we're going to assign it, and something might go wrong with this private key, we'll see. All right, so let's run node index, and we need to, fs is not defined. All right. So let's do this, var fs equals acquire fs. All right, here we go. We're trying to assign it, but our private key is protected by a passphrase, and passphrase is required. So let's take a little bit of a look here, and let's see what's possible. JWT sign, secret, passphrase. Let's just see if there's some passphrase. Okay. Is a string buffer object containing either the secret or the pen encoded private key for RSA. In case of private key, the passphrase, an object, key, and passphrase can be used. All right. Make sure you pass the algorithm. All righty. So we've got key and passphrase. Private key with a passphrase. All right, so I think we can go key, passphrase. Password was the password I chose. Don't tell anybody. That's an object now. Now, if I had exported that private key without a passphrase, I could have just specified it as a private key. But let's go ahead and see if this works. All right, that looks promising. The token is generated. Let's grab that token, and let's head over to JWT.io. And let's just paste that in here, and let's take a look at what JWT.io decodes from it. The algorithm is RS256, that's good. The type is a JWT, that's good. That comes from the red part of the JWT. And then the payload has our issued at time, which looks incorrect. Saturday, June 11th, 53081, something's wrong. Also, the expiration time looks pretty wrong. Audience, issuer, sub, and display name. All right, we might have to revisit the IAT and the expiration, but let's try to use this JWT, see if it works. Alrighty, looks like it works. I think it's working because the expiration time is well after today. Instead of 2021, we've got 58078. All right, we'll revisit that in a second to get that fixed up. But as you can see now, I'm in incognito mode, and I've registered this token. I'm using this token, and it's automatically authenticating me as this user for this account. Now if I go into our integrations, and I change this one letter from an A to, let's say, a C, I've changed the public key. I'll refresh the page. That token, that's an invalid signature. Okay, but then we go back to where we were. And that public key corresponds to the private key I used for this. All right, fantastic. Things are working well. And if I run some sessions, if I do other things, you know, well, I've not run any sessions yet, but we would see all of this work. Just to show you that, let's just grab this license key and let me hop over to a helper page we have. All right, get someone online. Let's go ahead and connect. Let's allow that connection. And that's all working with the Cobrowse session. What did I just click? I don't know. Let me go back. Test. Okay, that's all working. End the session. And now when I go to my history, we'll see that John did that session. Okay? And these JWTs, they create users that are ephemeral. Okay? So if I go to the team membership, I'm not going to see that user show up there. It's an ephemeral user that is created just for the JWT, but we do see that the session history is there. And then I go to my session history as an admin, and I'll see that that's there as well. All right, that's going a little bit beyond the JWT generation, but just thought I'd mention that now. All right, where were we? Everything was looking good, except it looks like these times are a little bit off. Just take a quick look at that. Should be the time you created the JWT. Okay, if I compare this, if I go over to Visual Studio Code, I compare that length with this length, looks a little bit shorter. It looks like this is in milliseconds instead of seconds. Okay, so let me take this off so that it's more like seconds, potentially. All right, let's go ahead and create a new JWT. Grab that there. Let's go drop it in JWT.io. It's going to be the same, except that now this looks correct. Issued at time is February 9th, 2021. Expires February 9th, 2022. And we use that token. That first token is still valid until it expires, but we can replace it with our new token, and that looks good. And just while we're here and we're looking at, you know, these iframe embeds, you might embed this dashboard on your own page. We do have a few other query parameters, such as no Chrome equals true. Okay, that will just hide the navigation bar, and a few other ones that you might try to pre-filter the list to allow pop-outs. The end action determines what happens when a session ends. And let's go back to the dashboard. And hopefully this video, if you're struggling or just curious how to generate these JWTs for use with Cobrowse.io or any other time you need to generate a JWT, hopefully this video is helpful as a guide. Thank you so much.